rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
You're muted again.
Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to a very special episode of the World of Gaming, because Dutch, it is showcase season. And you know what that means? That's Gamers Christmas, that's excitement, that's games, that's news, there's tons to talk about. But first, Dutch, I wish happy Switch 2 Day to everyone who got a Switch today.
Indeed. Congrats to everyone who got their Switch today.
Yeah. I know that the lot of chat already has this. So, guys, let us know, did you get a Switch? And before we get into many topics, because we didn't get a Switch on day one, right? But yours should arrive in a few days, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get one through my mobile contract. So I don't have to pay anything up front or a big chunk. So I won't pay anything for it technically for the first month, and then only a small amount every month. Hallelujah.
Okay, guys, let's welcome this awesome we'll be getting to topic and let's discuss today. Welcome, guys. To everyone who's already in the chat, big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are listening. Big welcome to you guys. And before we get into the show, a little housekeeping here. Of course, during showcase season, there is plenty of stuff to cover. And that's why we will definitely do a post show Xbox showcase analysis podcast, whatever we want to call that. Right after the Xbox showcase in Outer Worlds 2 Direct, we will go live right here to discuss, of course, everything that will be shown at the Xbox showcase on this Sunday. We will cover that with you guys, of course. So
I'm so glad that Xbox is the nicest of the companies and is doing a stream at a normal time.
At normal times, right?
Yeah, I was in bed last night when PlayStation decided to do their state of play, and Summer Game Fest is 10 o'clock at night as well, and from what I can see. So
Summer Game Fest is, I think, midnight my time.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be asleep at that point, so I'll catch up with it the day after.
The day after, I will do that too for Summer Game Fest. If Summer Game Fest is a true surprise, which it probably won't be, but if so, we might do a little surprise, spontaneous Saturday evening cover podcast here. But that really depends on what's going on in our real lives and, of course, how much interesting stuff there is going to be at the Summer Game Fest. Otherwise, we will cover that on Sunday along with the big Xbox showcase. So we hope to see you guys there. I know we have a BT Maverick, for instance, here in the chat. Yeah, he's driving down to LA to FanFest.
Nice.
There's a community FanFest.
There is.
And a little birdie told me that there is going to be a video shown at the community FanFest, and even though I might not be there, we might see us at Game Fest after all. So anyway, I'm rambling, Dutch. You need to stop me. Before we get into topics, of course, we always want to start the podcast with the most important thing in gaming, and that are the games that we are playing. So, Dutch, I know you have been busy at work and life this week, but what's on your playlist?
Yeah, to be honest, I've just been. I mentioned, was it last week or the week before? I don't know when. It was the week before last that I'd started playing Hogwarts again on PlayStation, and I'm still playing through that. I'm going to go through for the platinum on Hogwarts Legacy on PlayStation, and I'm enjoying playing through it again. But this week, I don't think I might have played last weekend. I might have played about half an hour's worth, and done like one more quest. But I'm probably about, I'd like to say maybe almost halfway through Hogwarts Legacy again. And this time around, because I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm looking for, and the Revelio and the searching for the moon goblin things and doing all the quests, I'm kind of ticking everything off as I go. And then anything that is kind of left over, I can just mop up at the end.
That's the beauty about replaying games, right? It's just everything is so familiar. You kind of know the mechanics, you know what to look for, and so on.
Yeah. And I still love that game. It's still one of my favorites, and I just hope that the second one lives up to the first. I wouldn't say lives up to expectations, but at least is as good as the first. I'd be happy if it was as good as the first, with just a nice new story and some additional mechanics.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be even better.
Hopefully.
Games like that tend to be better in their...
As long as they don't add some form of games as a servicey thing on top of it, we should be safe. Also, I'm not really wanting a co-op addition to it. like Ubisoft do with their
what it
games,
did
where
in-
it's like, oh, you can bring a co-op person in to do Far Cry. I'm like, why? Why? I can understand people might enjoy playing that, but it's ultimately a single player RPG. I don't want anybody else tagging along.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the beauty of the game, right?
Yeah.
They captured that essence of that world, Hogwarts, so well,
Yeah.
and co-op, as fun as it is, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of super fun co-op games, but when you play co-op or multiplayer or games as a service, you're not in for the mood, the atmosphere, and everything, the story. Yeah, that sucks you in when you focus on your own on a game in a single player game. So I agree with you, man. We don't need that in the sequel. When do you think the sequel is going to show up?
Yeah.
I mean, Hogwarts has been now 3 years, right?
It has, but then they did the Switch version, then they worked on an updated version for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and then the Switch 2 enhancement one.
Yeah.
So it depends on what amount of the team was working on the ports, and of course, then they did the backwards compatible ones. So they did the ones for the previous gen,
Yeah, right.
the One and the
Those came
PS4.
out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm probably thinking 27, 28.
Could be.
It's been a couple of years.
Could be. Yeah, my guess would be as well at least 27. I agree. I think 26 would be too early. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Guys, let us know in the chat what you guys have been playing. So Dutch, I also didn't play that much this week, but I played over the weekend a lot.
Yeah.
Of Doom: The Dark Ages. I think I'm almost at the end. One more chapter to go. I'm still really enjoying it, although I must admit that towards the end, I don't know, phrase that without sounding negative, too negative, it gets a little repetitive.
Mm.
You know, you're always fighting the same types of enemies.
Yeah.
And so, but still, it's just pure fun. I love the shield mechanics in Doom Eternal. It's just something different in a Doom game, right?
Yeah.
Parrying that comes along with it. It's just pure fun. What I miss a little bit and preferred more in Eternal was that Eternal forced you to really rotate through your weapon set. Right? Remember, there you were constantly switching in between, I don't know, the shotgun and your LNG and everything. And you really had to rotate more or less through your weapons and use everything. And in Doom Eternal, I tend to use 2 weapons, and that's it. Even though there are tons of, from rocket launcher to everything, yeah, is in there, but I tend to only use 2 weapons. And that combined with the fact that you are always fighting the same type of enemy,
Yeah.
no matter which level you are in, feels a little repetitive, but overall, I'm still having a blast. It's a fantastic game. It's beautiful. It's flawless. I haven't encountered a single bug, and it's perfect, man. That's fantastic. And I did travel earlier this week a bit, and Dutch, with all the excitement around The Witcher, and we'll get deeply into The Witcher today. Of course, I did it. Yes, I booted up The Witcher 3 again and started to play it on the LE.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all. You're a Witcher addict.
I am. And whenever there's Witcher news, I get this itch, you know. It tickles, and then I just boot up The Witcher. All right, let's see what has the community been playing, man. BT Maverick finished Doom: The Dark Ages and Ori and the Blind Forest, and he's now playing Steam demos like Neo and others. Sweet. Dustin Lambert finished all the achievements in Expedition 33 and South of Midnight. Doom is his next game. Ah man, Expedition 33.
Nice. I know. Stu finished Doom as well.
Sweet. I mean, it's not too long. Yeah, I just didn't have as much gaming time over the last weekend than I would have liked to have. So I'll be finishing that. Again, I think it's 1 or 2 chapters that are left. So an hour or 2 and it should be done with Doom. Yeah, man. Good stuff here. All right, Dutch. Let's see. What has the community voted as today's gameplay? The community has voted for the Expedition 33. Interesting. I thought people would vote The Witcher today because of the excitement.
Nice.
So
To be fair, I've done exactly the same thing.
playing The Witcher.
No, I've got Expedition 33 gameplay on.
Ah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, there we go. Good. Dutch, let us talk about. Let's get straight into it because we have only big news this week.
Yeah.
To cover. So let's get directly to the state of play. You and me both. We didn't watch it live. I caught up.
State of Multiplat.
State of Multiplat. Savage. So I watched it this morning, man.
Yep.
I'm a bit torn here, Dutch. On the one hand, I should keep my expectations in check because, yes, it's a state of play. We know state of plays don't provide the big bangers. They don't include a shitload of surprises and are usually filled with 1 or 2 of the the exclusives and indies and some Japanese games and 1 or 2 third-party games. So I should keep my expectations in check. I know that. But then if you air a state of play in the middle of showcase season, right? In between the big Witcher Unreal event, I call it the Witcher Showcase because that's basically what that was, right? In between the Witcher Showcase, the Summer Game Fest, and the Xbox Showcase, and the IO Interactive Showcase, which will, I think it's tonight somewhere, right? You air a state of play. If that state of play would have been in April or early May, or if it would have been in July, we would probably think different of it, right? But if you do something like that in the middle of showcase season, and everyone knows you're just doing it so that you have actually any news that people talk about, and you don't leave the big excitement to Unreal Engine and to Xbox and to Jeff Keighley, right? You would bring something big to the table.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel about it before we talk about some of the games that they have shown.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of the moment when they started changing it to state of play and did away with showcases. At the moment, you kind of always keep your expectations low. There was some good games, don't get us wrong, but I don't. Much like the Xbox Showcase, you don't watch the Xbox Showcase to see what's coming out on PlayStation. You don't now you do, but in the past you
now
don't.
You do.
You watch the Nintendo Showcase to see what's coming out specifically on Nintendo, and you'd want to watch the PlayStation showcases or State of Plays to see what PlayStation are making. But it isn't. Yes. It literally is just. It was a third-party showcase. there was one game that was made by PlayStation Studios, and that was the Marvel fighting game. And that was even then that was second
Ghost
party.
of Yote was kind of in there as well.
Kind of, but that was already announced, so it wasn't really.
It wasn't shown. It was just a teaser. But
yeah,
there's
another showcase, like a play state of play with Ghost of Yote on it. And, so yeah, it's. I honestly don't know. It's went past the point now of worrying about Sony not producing first party games, because it is horrific, like the state of Sony's first party at this point, and nobody seems to be mentioning it. Like, none of the actual big news sites are really going, what is going on at PlayStation first party studios?
On the contrary, they praise the exclusive lineup. Not mentioning that most of the exclusives are actually second-party deals, third-party exclusive deals, right?
There's only two games on there that there was only like two real games that were on there last night that were exclusive or timed exclusive.
Kind of exclusive, yeah. And it is, but I've seen just this earlier this week. I think it was IGN. I've seen an article on while scrolling through Twitter. Paraphrasing now, of course, the amazing lineup of PlayStation 5, right, with tons of exclusives coming, Death Stranding 2, Marathon, Ghost of Yote, and now Marvel fighting, and you know, that was the sentiment of the whole article, and I was like, what are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
None of them are outside of Ghost of Yote are like first party exclusives, which they seem to be so excited for, right? So it's Ghost of Yote. The rest are second, third party deals.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Marathon is coming out on Xbox. And of course you could argue now, people probably will do that, say, well, Xbox doesn't have exclusives either, which is right. That's not what I mean. But Xbox is putting out first party games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the key. And that's the real key that we're kind of getting at here.
But like you said, the media isn't talking about it. On the contrary, they are still praising the amazing lineup of the PlayStation. And I'm very sorry, I don't see it. I mean, if you're excited for Death Stranding 2, which is an exclusive,
temporary,
you can only play temporary exclusive. Yeah, but I mean, let's be real. The last Death Stranding took about 5 years to come to Xbox.
I did. I personally think he would preferred now that it goes multi-plat as soon as possible, but unfortunately, of course, contractual obligations means that he can't. He's already said himself, obviously, he owns the rights to Death Stranding now. So it is his IP. It's not Sony's IP anymore.
But he has signed a contract. He took a bag of money, and at the end of the day, people are not going to play that game outside of the PlayStation ecosystem for a while.
Yep, correct. At least 12 to 24 months.
For 3 months or 6 months or something. Yeah. It's not like the, I don't know, Indiana Jones situation where the game comes like 4 months after launch to other platforms. That's not going to happen. So I get it, but man, I couldn't care less about Death Stranding. Then I look at Marathon. I mean, we talked about that last podcast. It's Concord 2. You could also call it Concord 2. Then we talk about Marvel's the fighting game. It did absolutely nothing. So Ghost of Yote, that's the one. That's the one game I'm looking forward to. I give him that. I'm going to play that day one. I'm excited, really excited for that one. Loved the first one. Ghost of Tsushima was fantastic. but that's about it. And I don't even know if there's a first party game coming to PlayStation next year that I'm excited about. We don't know when.
Not that's been announced.
We don't know when Wolverine will come. After the massive leak last year, I highly doubt that this is going to come out in 26. That's 27 game. An intergalactic. I'd highly doubt that this is going to come out in 26. And that's the only two games that are announced so far. So I agree with you, and I don't get the media for not picking up on that, especially.
It's not like it's just
Xbox-
this showcase either. It's like we've been talking about it for what
Yeah.
feels like years now. Like, what is going on with Sony's first party? And there's still, like, a year and a half later, at least, nothing's being said. Like, no one's going to Sony like they would pester Xbox and saying, like, what is going on at your studios and why aren't you, like, why is there nothing being mentioned? Like, it's in a mess. Like, the output of your first party is horrific. So what is the deal? What is the deal? And the one when they do get these people on their podcasts, these Sony specific shows, they really don't push them enough.
Yeah.
The only one that's pushed anybody that was at PlayStation recently was when he had when what's his face thought that the old God of War creator had Yoshi on his podcast recently.
Jeffy.
Yeah, and he
Very
was pushing him about the kind of treatment of previous Sony staff and things like that, and the way that they went out and so on and so forth. And he said, "Yeah, I know they didn't treat some of them well. They treated me okay, but they didn't treat most like some others well at all." And so there's something not right there. There's something really not right, and I think more people need to really start kind of going at them. Otherwise, they won't improve.
Yeah.
It's all well and good the fans having it, but the media need to get on their back as well. Otherwise, they won't improve. And let's face it, they would if it was the other way around. Then Xbox had no first-party games or no worthy Xbox first-party games for like 2-3 years, and they were relying on exclusive agreements for second party and the games that
Xbox games.
yeah
Or in that case,
they would get absolutely tortured, and they did get tortured. And if Xbox
Rightfully
had
so.
like amazing, if Xbox's last generation was amazing, and they rested on their laurels, because that's all the PlayStation 5's done this gen, is just rest on the laurels of the tail end of the PlayStation 4 generation when they had big hit after big hit after big hit. And they just thought, oh yeah, we've done well here, so now we can just put our feet up.
I agree. It shows, especially now towards the middle and end of this gen, that the pipeline is simply dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Let's
games.
get it. Let's go. Yeah. Do. Let's talk about some of the games.
Let's talk about the big one. The biggest and bestest one. Final Fantasy Tactics.
I thought you mentioned 007. Nah.
Final Fantasy Tactics. Come on. You know it.
Final Fantasy
We know it.
was the biggest and best for you.
You know it.
Honestly.
We all know it. That one.
Now,
You know what won that for me, though, is the fact that was multiplat to everything day one.
yeah.
That was it. That was proof enough to me that Square Enix are, in fact, going the route that they said they were going, and going forward, things will be multiplat.
Yeah. Definitely. I never played Final Fantasy Tactics, man.
Oh, really? That's one of the it's one of the fan favorites. I think you'd like it when it comes out. And considering it's on everything, Steam, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation.
And it is apparently play anywhere.
It is.
Get it on Xbox.
It is, yes. Most Square games are, believe it or not, strangely. Even the Pixel remaster is.
Pixel remaster. I'm thinking right now.
Visions of Mana is.
Visions of Mana is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that comes to mind. But
Pixel remaster, like, it's the
anything
most
else?
recent ones. The
I'm not
most
sure.
recent ones.
Yeah.
They all have been, which is good.
Which, yeah, absolutely, man. It should be standard. It should be standard play anyway
Yeah.
for everything. So what made you so excited? Sell me on Final Fantasy Tactics. I have never played it, so the nostalgia obviously doesn't hit.
Yeah.
If I look at it, I'm not 100% convinced of the gameplay loop, which is kind of different than the turn-based strategy game.
Yeah.
That Final Fantasy used to be. So what made it so exciting for you, man?
It was one of the old school stories and characters. It's one of the ones that people grew up on, especially in the, what we say, old Game Boy days. That's when I played it. Final Fantasy Tactics when it was on the Game Boy. I forgot which one it was now. But yeah, it was just this. It is one of those nostalgic stories that you will like when you get into it. It isn't, of course, the same gameplay loop, but it is the typical Final Fantasy story that you come to expect from one of the classic lineups. So you will enjoy it. It's more of XCOM-y type, or what was the other one? The Mario Rabbids type fucking tactical thing.
Feels tactics type.
Yeah. It's like that style, of course. And I think it was one of the first ones they'd done as well in that vein. But no, it does look fantastic. And again, it's just more of an up-res and a shiny new coat on the original. But it's great to see it come back and hit modern systems and everybody be able to play it as opposed to just the handhelds, because they were always restricted to the handhelds. I don't think they were on consoles at that point per se. I think it was on PSP and the DS or something when it first came out. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but yeah, it obviously it wasn't. I was just, mainly for me, it wasn't the thing of the show, but it was definitely the biggest surprise of the show to see Tactics there, and it gives me hope. Gives me hope that Final Fantasy IX remake, remaster, whatever they do, is also on its way.
I mean, that's the one game that did get leaked up front, right? The blocking master Jason Schreier, he spoiled that up front. But yeah, if you don't have any nostalgia for the game, just from what they've shown, it didn't do much for me. So maybe when it's on sale or when it comes to Game Pass, but that's nothing that really got me excited. My personal highlight was 007. I really do enjoy IO Interactive as a developer. And I was a little concerned about the 007 game, that they basically slapped the 007 brand on the Hitman formula.
That's what it makes it kind of it is still my concern that it is ultimately just going to be Hitman but with a 007 skin.
I really didn't get that vibe at all. Not a single bit. It reminded me of games like Uncharted. It reminded me of games like Max Payne. Was very story-driven trailer, of course. There were snippets of gameplay in there. Yeah. Action sequences, shooting, stealth segments. It's got it all. And it kind of looked to me as, the linear story-driven action game. Maybe we see more, or we will definitely see more at the IO Interactive Showcase, which is a first, by the way, and also very interesting that they are doing one. It's I mean, Bond itself looked like, that a very young boy. um, but everything else really looked promising to me. It's beautiful. It's story driven. It's got the typical Bond humor.
Yeah.
It's got the little gameplay segments we've seen didn't scream to me, yeah, this is Hitman, and nothing against Hitman. But if you do another Hitman game, do a Hitman 4. Yeah, and not slap the Bond name on it. And I really don't think that they did that. I didn't get that at all. So I really enjoyed that. It's a 26 game, right? Called 007 First Light. It's an origin story. How young Bond become a 00 agent. I'm excited for that. What did you think, man?
Yeah, like I say, it looks interesting, and although you might not have those concerns naturally, I think after they've been making an assassin game for so long, there will always be a little bit of a concern, even if it looks like story-wise they have something there, that the game feels like Hitman when you play it. It might not look like it in previews, etc., but for instance, playing like Hitman as opposed to playing like Bond, that would be the only concern. Like you say, they could have just done a skin over the top and etc. But yeah, that's my only concern with it. My only concern. But we'll see a little bit more because they've got their own showcase and they'll dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Later on today, later on tonight. So we'll probably have footage to have a look at tomorrow and when we get out of bed and finish work, etc. To be able to see what Hitman actually looks like and additional gameplay, etc. of it and see how different it is. Because I think on that same showcase they're showing off Hitman or a new Hitman as well as Bond. So we'll see how different those two are from each other tomorrow. But no, it was good to see it eventually come to light because we all knew IOI Interactive were making a Bond. So it's great to see they eventually showed it off and hopefully people enjoy it when it comes out. And like you say, it's next year. So, yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What else did caught your attention during the?
Good to see Silent Hill F has a release date.
Yeah, September 25th.
Yep. Another September game, but yeah, good to see Silent Hill F has that release date. It's a new Silent Hill. It's not a remake, not a remaster. It's a whole new one. So, and that's everywhere again. So at least everyone can play it. Unlike Silent Hill 2. So
yes,
yeah, that one also caught the eye. What did you think of that?
Do you think it's gonna be on the quality level of what Silent Hill used to be?
It's hard to know. I don't think so. I don't think. You know, the way Kojima was going with PT was what I would hope Silent Hill to be, which is meant to be terrifying. It's meant to scare you. It's meant to unnerve you. And I don't feel like Silent Hill F or Silent Hill 2 Remake or any of those had the same impact that I think Kojima's version of Silent Hills would have been. Because he was going for more of a psychological horror that was like, it unnerved you and also scared the shit out of you. Which is why people are still now are scrounging around for PlayStation 4s with PT on. Because people really love what Kojima created with PT. So, no, I don't think it will have the same feeling. Will it be a great game? Possibly. But will it be the same feeling of traditional Silent Hill? No. Because Silent Hill was always based around an area called Silent Hill, which was originally based on an area in America called Centralia.
Yeah.
So there was a reason for Silent Hill originally. Silent Hill as the area and the game was based around an actual place in America that had a mining accident and it set fire to the place, and even now the mines are on fire, and you can't, and everybody abandoned the place. So that's where the thought process for Silent Hill come from, because that's, if you go look at Silent Hill, that was the same thing. Silent Hill F isn't that, and it kind of it's straight away from that. So I think no, it doesn't have the same origin, and it's not the same characters, and I don't think it'll have the same feel. And we're looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Yes. Is it going to be a day one buy for me? No. It'll be on sale to see if it's any good, or watch a couple of reviews, or watch somebody playing it to see if it's any good. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold either. Kind of feels like a cheap version of a Resident Evil 4, you know?
Yeah.
Really not what made Silent Hill 1 so famous. So I'm not sold 100% yet. Similar like you, I'm gonna wait for reviews on that one, and especially see what people that actually play it think, and then decide. What I really enjoyed though was Pragmata,
Yes.
coming next year. Also
Eventually.
thing.
That one
Eventually
disappeared off the face of the planet for like a couple of years. When was it
I wanna
announced?
say
2021?
3 years? Maybe was it 21?
I think it might be as far back as 21.
Maybe someone in the chat knows. But yeah, that looked fantastic, man. I like the vibe of the little AI girl, you know, that kind of develops emotions. I like what we've seen from the combat. I like the visuals, the tone, the setting. That's really what I'm looking forward to. What were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, again, great to see it reappear after disappearing off the face of the planet, because we didn't hear any. It wasn't like we heard bad news about it. We just didn't hear any news about
Anything.
it.
Yeah.
There was just, it got showed off. Everyone was like, "Oh, that looks really cool," and then nothing, and then just
Yeah.
radio silence for like years, and then just poop, there it is again. Like, oh, thank God it's alive, and is releasing in 2026. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Pragmata. It's very strange, but again, it does remind it immediately, when I saw it, immediately reminded me of sort of like a Kojima work when I saw it, and I thought it kind of is strange like the Kojima game. So we'll see what it what entails, but no, it looks interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's about.
Yeah. There were also interestingly 2 VR games in there. After me already thinking that PlayStation VR is basically dead, they had Thief VR
Yeah.
and Lumens Arise.
Yep.
Nothing that would get me to buy one, but
Especially now we know it's dead.
yeah, it is.
Let's face it, it is dead.
It's dead. It is, absolutely. Astrobot will be getting new levels.
Yes, it is. I still haven't picked that up because I've got a thing about paying $50-$60 for a platformer.
Worth it. Astrobot is a really good one.
I wouldn't do it for Crash Bandicoot. I won't do it for Astrobot. I'm gonna wait for that thing. Like it's on sale. It's on sale at the moment, reduced to 50, and I'm like, nah, still wouldn't. I'm gonna wait until I can get it for like $30 or less.
I mean, I really enjoyed Astrobot.
Oh, I know I will enjoy it as well. I know I will enjoy it as well, but for a platformer, nope. I have my monetary limits.
I see.
Which is also why I didn't buy Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time when it came out, because that was like $50 or something at the time as well, and I was like, nope. And now it's coming to Game Pass, so I don't have to worry about buying that now.
Yeah. coming this month to Game
Yep.
Pass. Yeah, true. Ghost of Yotei was only shown with a cinematic trailer, and it was announced that there is a dedicated gameplay show thing. Don't want to call it showcase, but a dedicated direct or whatever for Ghost of Yotei in July. I would have thought, Dutch, that if you do a state of play in the middle of showcase season, you would put in the heavyweights in a state of play. You would show Ghost of Yotei, you would show Death Stranding 2, which wasn't there at all. There was no marathon in there. I would have loved to see Ghost of Yotei. And it would have definitely behooved the show to have it properly in there. I don't know. What do you think? Why didn't they put any of the heavy hitters in there?
Death Stranding is out in a couple of days, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, they could have put that in, but they chose not to. Marathon, I don't think that's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, it might have been before people tried it and played it and it didn't do well. But I think now everyone's fully aware that needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think that one's going back a little bit to the drawing board. I'm not even sure that'll make it out this year.
You think they delayed it?
Yeah,
You think so?
I honestly think so. I think the feedback they've had from people, much like they did with Concord,
It would be wise to do that.
Yep.
But
if they want that
question
thing
is,
to actually survive, unlike Concord, they need to delay it. They need to put new content in. They need to put new maps in. They need to get a
it's
roadmap.
supposed to launch with only 4 maps,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. They need to get a roadmap sorted for that game and have it there at launch. Okay, you're starting with 8 levels, not 4.
Yeah.
This is our roadmap for the next year. On launch, 2 months after we've got this, 2 months after that we've got this, 2 months after that we've got this. Like, it needs to be something in place. Or it will just do exactly what Concord did. And I think from what people have played, Marathon plays well, but the problem is the lack of content. And people have already noted that in the previews. They're like, yeah, plays well, but it's just another shooter. There's nothing that makes it stand out from the rest. So
yeah,
I think it needs to be delayed if they want that thing to work at all and not sync.
Yeah.
So aside from the ones that we've seen, and of course Ghost of Yotei is getting its own state of play-ish type thing later on in the year, July. There isn't anything else they can show. Okay, they could have potentially shown off Wolverine, but it's clearly not ready. So they're not going to show that, and they've got nothing else to show. Nothing's ready.
I mean, they've shown Marvel's fighting.
Yeah.
Marvel fighting souls. But I don't know. It didn't do anything.
That's just
for
like
me.
Streets of
But-
Rage. It's an indie game.
Yeah.
That's it, I guess. You know what I mean? And then not
People are
only
praising it,
did they announce that fighting game, then to go along with this indie fighting game, super expensive fight stick from PlayStation for an indie game. I mean, but we're halfway through the generation now. They've decided to make themselves a fight stick for a console that'll be going out in a couple of years' time, and all the other fighting games have already come and gone. You've already had a new Street Fighter. You've already had a new Tekken. You've already had a new Mortal Kombat. You've like now you're gonna bring out a fight stick. And they've got nothing else. They've literally got nothing else to show. It is from a first party perspective. It's just very worrying from PlayStation. Like it's not even like they're trying to hide it anymore. In the past, if they didn't have anything to show, the one thing they used to do is at least show the logo. Like even when they first announced God of War, before God of War got fully unveiled, they showed the logo. And it was the same for Uncharted, or the same for The Last of Us. Like, if it wasn't even fully announceable yet, they would say, and they'd show the logo to say, at least this is what we're working on. But, like, Sony Santa Monica have been dead quiet since Ragnarok. Dead quiet since Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Nothing, not a peep.
I mean,
And they've got 2 teams.
They got 2 teams, and Cory Barlog didn't work on God of War Ragnarok,
Nope.
right?
Because he
Yes,
was working on his own game. So what is going on?
Currently? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall with the first party situation, I mean, what would we expect? They had 12 games as a service titles in the works that are for the very most part now cancelled. So they wasted all those years working on games like Concord, like Last of Us Factions, right? Like Spider-Man games as a service title. Bend was working for 5 years on a games as a service title that has now been cancelled. All those studios could have put out games by now. They decided to force them into a games as a service route. Didn't turn out, and now those studios have to start from scratch with something new. And we know how long first-party development or AAA development takes these days.
Yeah.
It's at least a 5-year cycle. In most cases, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So Bend will not be ready to put out a game before 2030, right? So yeah, they put themselves in a corner with that strategy of focusing everything on games as a service and then not being able to release any of those games as a service titles. And so it'll take years to get the pipeline up and running again.
Yeah.
And in all those years, a lot will happen. You know, it's not even a question. We know the industry is changing constantly. If you look at the last 15, 20 years, there's always something happening in the game industry that just changes things, changes the landscape. Yeah, the latest being Xbox not doing exclusive anymore. Game Pass was a game changer for the industry. Cloud gaming came along, right? PC handhelds are changing the market right now, and it is just what it is, and we don't know where in 5 years console gaming in general will stand, right? And this is just the problem for PlayStation now. They are still doing well because they have the market share and they have the word to mouth and thing in their favor. Yeah. But it's gonna be a question when next gen starts, right? When people start to rethink, okay, did I do the right thing to choose PlayStation as my primary gaming library when I could build up a Steam library that I can also play on an Xbox console, or I can play my Xbox library also on a PC or my handheld and so on. And they have the lineup there, and then you start to think about an investment of, let's be real, the next gen consoles will be in the ballpark of €800 or $800.
Yep.
Both of them, Xbox and PlayStation. and then you start to think, hey, where do I put my money down for the next 6 to 8 years? And yeah, the library thing is, of course, no, it's hard for people to leave their libraries behind. Yeah, that's why I'm not saying the next PlayStation is doomed, because leaving your library behind is tough. And, but things will change, and we don't know where the industry trends will go. And it will be hard to get a new generation. The currently what is currently now Gen Z. I don't even know what comes after Gen Z. The generation after Gen Z, yeah, Gen Next or whatever.
Gen 360.
Gen
Box 1.
That's what we cannot allow Microsoft to name the generations. But the thing is, yeah, where will those people decide to start and build their library, right? And if you don't have a proper pipeline to support it, you can only rest on your laurels for so long. So it'll be very interesting to see, man. It'll be very, very interesting to see. Anything you want to talk about from the state of play? I mean, we covered the big ones. There were a couple of smaller ones in there. Romeo is a Dead Man. Bloodstained was in there. Digimon, Storytime. Tides of Tomorrow. Sea of Remnants. Sword of Sea. There have been a couple of more games in there, but none of those.
Yeah, I think Romeo is Dead looks interesting. Romeo is Dead looks interesting. The others, yeah. Digimon, no, I'm not. Never been a Digimon fan. I'm a Pokemon boy. So, no, Digimon was never my bag. But no, Romeo is Dead looks interesting. That's a cool art style and another hack and slasher. But no, it looks cool.
Yeah.
That was about it, yeah. It was, overall, the showcase was okay. But
again, if this would have been in May, if this would have been in July, we would probably talk different about it.
Yeah.
But putting such a showcase in the middle of these super exciting showcase season,
I mean, it can only go up.
Can only go up from there. Yeah. I mean, the Summer Game Fest is around the corner. Any expectations from that?
I mean, I think Summer Game Fest has to be better than that. Has to be. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation had some announcements there. A lot of people are thinking as well that Xbox will have will get some of their PlayStation announcements out the way of there, but I disagree, because Xbox have said themselves going forwards, at the Xbox showcase, they will make crystal clear what is going to be multi-plat and what isn't. So any games that will be going to PlayStation date that are on the Xbox showcase this month, i.e. this weekend, I think will also have the PlayStation logo on it if it is going to PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to save anything for Summer Game Fest. I think if they're going to announce anything for PlayStation that is new, they will literally just tell you on the Xbox showcase that it's coming out on PlayStation. The only things that I think might be at Summer Game Fest that won't be at the Xbox showcase is if they announce Starfield going to PlayStation. I think they'll give that to Jeff. I don't think that's a big enough thing for them to announce on their own show. I don't think they'll care about that, to be honest.
I agree.
And it also because it also gives them a place to show that off. Like they give Indiana Jones to Jeff last time.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense for them to announce games coming to PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, for that matter, that are already out.
Yeah.
If the game is yet to come out on Xbox, you would just announce it at the Xbox show, and then of course tell people. I agree there that they will that we will see PlayStation logos in that Xbox
Yep,
showcase this summer.
100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. But games that are out, your likes of Starfield or whatever Forza Motorsport,
Yeah.
or so, they will bring that stuff to
Yeah.
PlayStation. You wouldn't put that in your Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put in Starfield just to announce, hey, Starfield is now coming to PlayStation. That's a Keighley thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
But Keighley stuff, I mean, there's probably quite a few studios that we know Ubisoft aren't doing a show this year.
Yeah.
So if they've got a singular game to show off, which is what I probably think they will have, like one game, you wouldn't do a showcase if you've only got one thing to show.
Which one?
I mean, which one of the 95, 100, 3,049 million Assassin's Creed ones are we going to show off? Heretic. We'll show off Heretic.
I don't think so. Heretic is the mobile one, right?
No, was that a Jade or Emerald?
Jade is already out.
Was that not the mobile one?
The mobile one. There's another mobile one coming, and I think that was Heretic. But
was Heretic not the smaller one that they were doing that was based on like witchcraft and whatnot?
No, that's the next big one that they are doing, and it's not called Heretic, it's called Hexen.
Oh, Hexen, that's the one. Yeah.
Hexen. You know, Hexe is German and means witch. That's the next big one. Successor to Shadows. And I don't think that they will show anything Assassin's Creed. Listen, they've teased Metal Gear.
Splinter Cell.
Dude. Splinter Cell, thank you.
I think that's a Fugazi. I think that's imaginary. I don't think that actually exists.
No. I think it absolutely exists. They have just teased it. They've posted the Sam Fisher face, and then a Sam Fisher face from the old game, and they had this little eye emoji above it, and that was the official account. So Sam Fisher in Splinter Cell Remake, I can definitely see that. It will be either at Xbox Showcase or the Summer Game Fest, and I think that's a Keighley thing. I know that Ubisoft kind of had a deal with Xbox back in the days with Splinter Cell, so it could also potentially be on the Xbox show if they show the remake. But since it's not like back in the days where they did, Xbox doesn't do many advertisement deals these days. So I think that could be at the Keighley show from Ubisoft. I could also see them announce a new Far Cry, but I kind of feel if they would have a banger like Far Cry ready to show, or let alone the Beyond Good and Evil 2 game that apparently is still in the making.
Apparently.
I don't know. After 8 years or whatnot. They would do their own show again. I would say Let's Dance and Splinter Cell at the Keighley from Ubisoft. I also see, what do you think? I see a lot of clips lately from Battlefield 6.
Yeah, possibly Battlefield. But then they've also got all of their sports games to announce again.
Yeah.
They've also got the Maddens, and they've got the FIFAs, and the
they will do that in a segment, the new FIFA or what's it now called? Football Club,
Yes.
Madden, and so
FC
on.
26.
And then they don't have their own thing, EA. So they kind of have to rely either on Jeff or the Xbox showcase to show Battlefield 6. And since Xbox already has Call of Duty, and we will see Call of Duty at the Xbox showcase, and that's their biggest competitor for Battlefield 6. I doubt that they will put it on the same stage. And that's why I think we will see a Battlefield 6 official reveal at Jeff's show.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never seeing Battlefield on Xbox's show anymore. Not now that they own Call of Duty. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. What else do you expect at Jeff's show?
It's hard to tell. It is really hard to tell.
It's way harder to predict a Summer Game Fest than an Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
Because at the Summer Game Fest, they will show, I don't know, like out of the 2 hours, 30 minutes are for
adverts.
Adverts. Another 30 minutes for mobile games. And then
we're going to see a lot of, I know what you will see is a lot of indie games. You're going to see a lot of indie games because Jack does put a lot of indie games on his show, which is good. So you will see a lot of indie games. I think you'll have more big hitters this year than you did last year. I don't think you had that many big hitters last year. But I think there's a lot of third parties will be going to him for their announcements this time round.
There are plenty of bigger third-party games, like Crimson Desert.
Yeah.
It's supposed to come out. Does it already have a date? I have November in my head. But let me Google that real quick. Crimson Desert. Release date. Late. It's late 2025. So they need to actually really announce a proper release date.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the late Crimson Desert. So I think that's gonna be there. There are games like Gothic Remake supposed to come out this year, and they've kept posting these developer diaries, and it looks fantastic. And they reassure in every developer diary that the game is coming this year. That's something you kind of have to put on Jeff's stage then.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Luke in your chat's got a good point as well. Resident Evil 9.
I don't think we see a Resident Evil 9 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Why?
Because I think they need a year or two longer than they did for Resident Evil 7 and 8, because they will change the formula. 7 was the first Resident Evil in first-person perspective, and with that they kind of changed the formula from 4, 5, 6. They were all third person over the shoulder, while 1 and 2, and let alone 3, were more like also over the shoulder, but one was with the camera angles and very different. 4 was then new, and then 5 and 6 they kind of followed in the same formula, and with 7 they had something new, and I think they will have another formula for 9, and I think they need a year longer, at least a year longer in development because of that. And so I doubt that we will see Resident Evil 9 this year. I hope I'm wrong.
I guess we'll wait and see.
We have to wait and see, right? What about Square?
I think
or Nintendo.
Nintendo might have.
Nintendo released the Switch today.
They did. They might have a couple of little bits, but I don't think they'll have loads. I think they'll have their own Treehouse Live soonish, and I say soonish, maybe it's July, August, where they'll kind of announce some bits and bobs.
Kind of have to.
Yeah.
I feel like the Switch 2 reveal, the Switch 2 launch was the most muted launch ever.
I think it was
I
on
know-
social media, but judging by the videos and photos I've seen of people queuing up to buy them, I think physically it was a pretty decent launch. I just think social media wise, it didn't have much of a digital presence as a lot of
But
launches
it
have been.
didn't have a presence anywhere. That's the thing. Of course, the Switch 2 is too big to fail.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is.
it's not like
Yeah, it is. It will
it's
sell.
in any way kind of trouble.
Yeah.
It's gonna sell. But it's not sold out. At least not here in Germany. I don't know about the UK. I can go online and
No, I
pre-order
don't
right
think.
now.
Absolutely not. No,
Order
you can
one
still
right
buy
now.
one. Yeah.
You can definitely buy one, and either Nintendo is super good in logistics and has the the Switch 2 on stock like crazy. But if you remember any of the previous launches of consoles, Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5, yeah, I know they were launched in the middle of the pandemic and so on, but usually a console is sold out in the first 2 months everywhere, and
Yeah.
that's definitely not the case. There is more or less no talk on social media channels, and I mean, you and I both, we are in the die-hard gaming bubble, and there are, yes, now today I've seen a couple of people post, yeah, I got my Switch and I'm happy for them, don't get me wrong, but it's not like everyone is going crazy. Yeah, the Switch is here, and there's nothing else people talk about, which usually would happen if you launch a console. They had this one treehouse, or what they called it, like 2 months ago when they announced the thing, and ever since there was nothing, absolutely nothing announced. There's Mario, and that's Mario Kart, and that's it out there. I feel it's a very muted launch, and so it's kind of hard to imagine that Nintendo is going through this showcase season without announcing anything for their brand new console.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It is the one of the quieter launches for the Nintendo Switch 2. That's for sure. 100%. But I think it's one of, as you mentioned though, it's just, I think Nintendo is just too big to fail. Especially when it is.
Absolutely.
I think it helps them a little bit that it's a better iteration of something that was already extremely successful, where it feels like more of a better refined experience, where they're like, okay, you like the Nintendo Switch, great. Here's the Nintendo Switch again, but this time you've got a much better screen. It's significantly more powerful. We're gonna have significantly better third-party support this time around. Like the most of your games that you could play on your Switch 1 are now performing and looking better on the Switch 2. And of course, we've got better Joy-Cons now that are doing X, Y, and Z, and the kickstands on it's better. So it's more of it's refined, but it's better, more improved enough so that more people would invest in it, because third-party support is going to be significantly better this time around, and we've seen that already. How much, I mean, on the kind of Switch 2 showcase when they announced the release date, etc., just how much of that was third-party support and not just first-party. And I think that's what, unlike any other brand, Nintendo had a reason to show off third-party support. Whereas with others, we'd complain if it was all third party. Like if Xbox had a showcase and it was all third party, we'd be like, what is going on? But if Nintendo does it, we're like, actually, this makes sense. Because you want to be able to see what big AAA companies can do on that handheld. Like, is it actually held back? Or are they going to be able to do something that is pretty impressive? Because Nintendo games aren't graphically demanding. Yes, technically the likes of Zelda, etc., was impressive because, of course, of all of these moving parts and moving pieces and all these kind of mechanics.
On that hardware.
Yeah.
On that hardware.
Exactly.
Was impressive.
But graphically, there's nothing on Nintendo that Nintendo make that anybody on any other platform would shout about. In fact, it's like we laughed at a few times, but you can run literal mobile games better than you can on the Nintendo Switch One. And you could probably play Nintendo Switch games better on mobile than you could on the Switch One. So, it was in their best interest to showcase what that thing can do with third party, to kind of say this gen we're going to be more supported by the big guys.
That's why I think the Nintendo stuff we'll see at Jeff's show at the Summer Game Fest is third-party games that come to the Switch too. I see plenty of announcements, not just from Xbox, but from all kinds of third-party developers announcing games now coming to Switch too. I think that will be the Switch segment at Jeff Keighley, because I doubt that they will give, I don't know, the next Mario reveal to Jeff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the next Zelda reveal or whatever.
Yeah, you're going to see some third-party stuff. I don't think you'll see it from Square, though. I think because Square's already had the announcement that Remake is going to Switch 2, but it didn't have the release date, I think Xbox will have Final Fantasy Remake announcement on their show with the release date that will cover Nintendo Switch 2. Not Rebirth, just Remake.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
We've heard that so many times.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy, you've got to think of it now. There was exclusivity. It went to PC. That was kind of outside of the console realms of things. But now we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to Nintendo, which is technically a competitor. PC isn't for PlayStation to a point.
Yeah, but I think Nintendo is considered not as a direct competitor.
I mean, it's. I don't think it's again to Square now. I don't think they care, and with Final Fantasy Tactics specifically as well showing up as multiplat on PlayStation.
But with Tactics, they didn't have the weird contracts in place.
No,
I think there is just something super weird with the contract in between Square and Sony with when it comes to exclusivity of the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy. And that's why we haven't seen it.
I don't think so, because the Square themselves have said that they want that game everywhere now.
Yeah, they want that.
Yeah.
And then there is something in place. And I'm telling you, if we don't see it this year...
Oh yeah, then it's never happening, I agree. But I think that's the only thing...
We will see it.
I personally think that's the only reason that Nintendo didn't have the release date of Remake on Switch 2 was because it was also going to Xbox. And that announcement, because we know Xbox's strategy now is anything that's going elsewhere will also kind of be shown on Xbox as going elsewhere. So I think on the Xbox showcase, it will say out on such and such on Xbox and Nintendo Switch on this date. And that's just Remake, not Rebirth. I think Rebirth, we've still got another couple of years until we see that on Xbox. And likewise, whenever the third part of the trilogy comes out, it'll be another couple of years after that you'll see that on Xbox as well. It's going to be a significant wait.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if Remake comes now to Xbox, that is 6 or 7 years after its launch. Will it do massive numbers? Will it be a success? Will it reinvigorate the Final Fantasy?
Oh, absolutely not. But it'll. What it will do is just give Square a little bit of extra coin, because it's not going to be hard to port Final Fantasy VII Remake onto the Series X.
I agree.
It's like free money. Even if it only makes a couple of 100,000, that's still a couple of 100,000 more than they had, and it doesn't cost them that much to port it over. So,
I agree. But yeah, I kind of doubt that we will see that happening, because I think Sony has a super weird contract in place and they didn't consider Nintendo as their direct competitor. They do that with Xbox, and that's why they allowed it on the Switch, and they do not allow it on Xbox, and we will not see that. Just my gut feeling, no inside knowledge. But yeah, Dutch. Let's move away from Summer Game Fest and let's talk about. I need to put that on screen. I need to put on screen what we are going to talk about now. And that's The Witcher 4. The Witcher 4
Yeah.
at Unreal
Tech demo.
What is the tech demo? No, State of Unreal.
Yeah.
State of Unreal is a yearly event, and there are usually interesting things. I like State of Unreal, especially if you're interested in how modern rendering technology works. They always present that in a understandable and pragmatic kind of way of what's new with Unreal. And I usually like those showcases. But honestly, of course, it's no secret. The Witcher 4 is absolutely my most anticipated game. And this year they've chosen to show a tech demo. Yeah. That looked very much like gameplay coming out of the game. I mean, they said it's not from the segment we've seen, is not directly from the game, but it uses the assets, it uses the technology, it's a tech demo. But a tech demo with story elements in it, a tech demo with gameplay snippets in there. We didn't see any combat, but we've seen Ciri walking, horseback riding, talking to NPCs, and so on. So we got a good glimpse of what The Witcher will look like. And it was super impressive to see that this was captured on a base PS5 at 60 FPS, which is pretty impressive. They have full global illumination, global lumen ray tracing in there, right? Which is impressive to see on a console, let alone the base console, run at 60 FPS. The density of the world, the detail of the world, the tech that they have shown, the lighting, the water rendering, they heavily focus on the new nanite foliage technology. It's a very different way in how to render, leaves and trees and your foliage look very impressive, very, very impressive. Usually most games use kind of different triangles for leaves and then make part of the triangles transparent when they slap the texture as an overlay, which is also kind of cost heavy. It's a very different way to render foliage that they have shown, and it looks phenomenal. But what impressed me the most are two things. The first is the atmosphere, because when they decided to switch over from their own proprietary engine, the Red Engine, to Unreal, I thought, and I mean, look at Cyberpunk, look at The Witcher 3. We've just watched some gameplay from Witcher 3 before I switched to the presentation that they gave on Unreal, on Witcher 4. Witcher 3 is 10 years old now.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old game that still looks this impressive. This is just showing how technically advanced the Red Engine was. And Cyberpunk, still one of the best looking games of this gen. And it came out like a month after this gen launched, or 2 weeks after the gen launched, right? And it's also now 5 years old.
Yeah.
And it's still one of the best looking games. So Red Engine was a powerhouse engine. And when they decided to switch to Unreal, I was a little worried because the few Unreal open world games we've seen, they not only had their issues technically, they all kind of had that Unreal look to it. And I don't want the Unreal look in my Witcher game.
Yeah.
I don't. I want them to keep their art style. I want it to feel and look like the Witcher games, previous Witcher games. I think they nailed that. You can tell from this tech demo, it doesn't look like your typical Unreal game. They kept the art style, they kept the atmosphere, but it looks absolutely impressive. From water rendering to foliage to skyboxes to facial animations, it is absolutely impressive that this kind of quality runs at 60 FPS on a base PlayStation 5. And before people, because I've seen people online who are bragging, it'll look and run the exact same way on the Xbox. Yeah. I just think it was very impressive. I have so much more to say, Dutch, but what were your thoughts?
Yes. Much like a lot of other tech demos, however, I'm a little bit more restrained. As much as it looks fantastic, and the technology that they've used to showcase this is fantastic, it is very much a vertical slice of not something that is actually in the game, and it is just to showcase what they're doing using the engine for the purposes of Unreal's demonstration. So it looks great, but that doesn't take into account multiple AI on screen at the same time, or crowd animations, or any other kind of magic physics, or the weather constraints changing weather day night cycles, or other forms of AI, combat simulations. It doesn't take into effect so many things that will affect the, should we say, the resolution, the fidelity, and the performance of that game when it does come out. So as much as I think it's very pretty now, I think it's great to see what Unreal Engine can do, but we also know what Unreal Engine bottlenecks in, and has bottlenecked in, and has had issues with this time round. And as you've mentioned rightfully as well, nobody's really used Unreal Engine to do a big open world game like The Witcher, which is why Unreal was so proud to get The Witcher to use Unreal for their project instead of Red Engine going forward.
Absolutely.
Because they want to try and get into that. So as much as it looks fantastic, we have to take it with a big pinch of salt, because I don't think it will launch at the same quality.
I've seen that, and people always bring up Watch Dogs when they bring up that argument.
Even the original Witcher 3 launch, and then also we've got to be wary of the original Cyberpunk launch.
Yeah, but Cyberpunk and Witcher 3, for that matter, was not the problem of it being kind of downgraded from what they've shown. It was more or less that it was a buggy mess.
And that's what I'm also saying though, and I think, but in order to get these games running initially, they had to downgrade some of their things in order to get that thing to run. And that's not necessarily from a visual aspect, but potentially from an AI aspect or from a mechanical aspect. They had to go, okay, we'll have to wind this down a bit. And then later on in the gen, as we know with Cyberpunk, for instance, not only did it take multiple patches to get it where they originally promised it to be, but it required them ditching a previous console that they shouldn't have produced on it in the first place, in order to go, right, okay, now we can focus on putting in some mechanics that we should have really had in the first place, because we were holding ourselves back from this previous one. So it was more technical limitations, and saying, okay, we can do X, Y, and Z, and having technical limitations to come out, and probably with the crowd density and things that they would be, keeping a solid 60 or saying this is going to have ray trace global illumination on the PlayStation 5 with this crowd density, and when with all of this fighting and so on and so forth, it's probably a little unrealistic.
I mean, I give you that the fact that this, since it was a tech demo,
Yeah.
it was highly curated, and it's a very different thing to design such a limited tech demo than to design this absolutely massive open world. No, it'll be bigger than the world of Witcher 3. It will be a massive open world game, and not every area gets the same attention like this tech demo did get. That is for sure. And yes, depending on where they decide to launch, on which systems they decide to launch The Witcher 4, you will see tidbits here and there. But I think after what happened with Cyberpunk, they know that they need to nail The Witcher 4, and they are aware that if they put out such a tech demo, that they set up expectations, and they wouldn't have emphasized it like that this is actually running in real time on a PlayStation 5 if they wouldn't feel confident to deliver something like they have shown. We are in a different age now, and we had these examples. I just mentioned the Watchdog thing, but they have across the board been multiple other games where we have seen downgrades from initial reveals and then being downgraded at launch.
Oh yeah. I don't know what's happened to Boxy's stream. Boxy seems to have frozen. Oh no. Oh no, oh no. Oh dear. Yeah, it says it seems like, oh, there he goes. There he goes. I thought that might have been the case. Oh dear. Welcome, BT. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So I may as well just leave it like this for the minute until Boxy jumps back in. If he jumps back in, I think he must have had an internet crash or something. So give it a couple of minutes, see if he comes back. If not, we'll have a quick conversation around Xbox Showcase predictions or thoughts, and then we'll wrap up the show. And you'll see me as dual down here. Ooh. Driving down to FanFest on Sunday, 6-hour drive from where I am, California. Nice, nice. Remove.
Hey, I hope I'm back.
Hello. Yes, I managed to just talk.
I hope I'm back.
Very briefly. Yeah, talk very briefly now. I can see you and your stream's up and running again. Good.
Yeah, the stream is running again. Very sorry, the internet went down for a second.
We're back.
We're back. We are back. So, Uh,
But yes, in terms of the tech demo, you were saying.
in terms of, I was saying, I don't even know what I was saying when the internet crapped out. I was
You think that
talking
you said
about
that you think they were confident, because they
they
were.
are, yeah, they are confident because they are aware. They are very much aware that gamers have been disappointed many times by them with Cyberpunk. They have been disappointed with other publishers and shit that happened. And if you emphasize that strongly, hey, this is running on a base PlayStation with 60 FPS and ray trace global illumination and all the good stuff.
Do you not think it also, at the same time, though, as much as it might come across as confidence, be a little bit naive to put themselves in a position to say this is running on this and this is running on this, and basically people will, some, not all, because people like me and people like Luke will sit there and go, but it's still a tech demo, so I'm still going to reserve judgment for when the real thing comes out, and we'll see what it looks like then.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, because this, like you said, the confidence saying this is running on PlayStation 5, you know for a fact that people will use this footage and say, this is what it looked like in the tech demo. Now you're showing us this. It's a downgrade. You know that's what's going to happen. And that's why I think it's just a little naive for CDPR to say that and kind of not show that confidence, but it's kind of putting a rake out in front of themselves when they didn't need to say, okay, listen, this is just a tech demo. Like, this is what the engine's capable of. This is not representative of the full game. This is just to showcase what this engine can do and a brief kind of idea as to what we're aiming to achieve. What we're aiming to achieve would have been better than this is running with ray tracing 60 frames a second on a PlayStation. You're like, yeah. You're like, oh, you've set yourself up to fail.
No, I have my hopes up that CD Projekt Red learned their lesson not to overpromise something and then underdeliver like they did with Cyberpunk. Not that Cyberpunk was a bad game, don't get me wrong, but technically it launched with bugs. It didn't deliver what they've originally shown, and it was not so much the visuals, but they have shown this super promising intelligent police system, for instance, yeah, which then wasn't in the game, stuff like that, and they've disappointed. And Cyberpunk did do well eventually, but if it would have launched in the state it was supposed to launch in, dude, that game would have sold so many million of more copies than it did. And for that matter, I think they learned their lesson and they are not going to do an over-promising on The Witcher 4 again. I doubt that. And that's why,
I mean, I
yes, it will
agree.
look different.
I agree
Things
to
will
an
look
extent.
different.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but I think it's still better to underpromise and overdeliver than it is to overpromise and underdeliver. Which is my only thing is, I still think they should not have mentioned what it was running on, because I think as a tech demo, it's irrelevant.
I agree, but because they chose to emphasize that, I think they are confident that they can achieve that kind of visual fidelity on consoles.
Oh yeah, but I just mean now the fact that they've said this is running with ray tracing at 60 on PlayStation 5, I think the combination of all those things, not that they can't get the fidelity, because I believe they can get the fidelity, but the combination of all of those things running at locked 60 on PlayStation, I think, is something that could trip them up if that is not achieved come Witcher 4 launch. if that launches, for instance, and they go, okay, fidelity mode's at 30 and performance mode's at 60, they'll be like, that's not what you said at the tech demo. Me and you will sit
They
there and
didn't say that there won't be a fidelity mode at 30. They didn't say that. They just said that this is what we see now is running at 60.
with ray
That's
tracing.
the performance mode
And,
with
yeah.
ray tracing.
Yeah. So we don't, again, that could be the fidelity mode, but again, it's just, it's putting things in the way themselves that could trip them up in the future. I think that's the only thing
Absolutely.
that I think is lesson not
I
learned.
agree. I agree. If they don't deliver that kind of fidelity now on consoles, they set themselves up for disappointment again,
Yeah.
for controversy again. And I agree. It's dangerous.
Yeah. That's my
And
only
I
concern with
wonder
them.
why they thought this is a benefit to tell people that, because the game is still
Years away.
out. Is it many years? Let's speculate in a second. Let me finish my point first. It's still quite a bit away, and telling people now, yeah, this is the console version. This is how the console version looks. Yeah. What benefit do they have from that? They could have shown something on a 5090 with even more visual fidelity. Yeah, easily they could have done that, and everyone would be okay with that in a tech demo at the state of Unreal. But the fact that they decided to, hey, it's important for us that people know we can achieve something like that on consoles, they thought that this is important. And I wonder why. I really don't know. But yeah, we shall see, man. When do you think it's going to come out? You said years away.
Yeah, I
That's
think
a
it's years
better
away.
estimate.
And that's only because, and I don't mean that because I think the game's miles from being finished. I think it's just that going to be that big of a game that there's just a lot of content to put in it that needs to be completed. And by that I mean more different story aspects. A lot of the, not the voiceover work per se, but there's going to be a lot of voiceover work done. We know that from previous Witcher. We know the content levels that they put into these games. Like, they're not your standard games in terms of the stories and the narratives that CD Projekt Red create. They are fantastic, which is why I don't think they'll rush the game either. From a visual standpoint and from a performance standpoint and things like that, I don't think that's what's going to take the time. I think the world crafting and the quest crafting and things like that is something that is going to take the time, and the set pieces and the moments that you come to expect from CDPR now. I just think that's what pushes it back a couple of years. I think it's just the enormity of the project. Yes, it is also their first UE5 project after moving from Red. So I would rather they also took more time to make sure that it was refined, because it is a Switch of engine. And yes, Unreal is the easier engine out of Red and Unreal to work with, but these devs, for the most part, have been used to creating on Red Engine, not on Unreal, which is the opposite for most of the industry. So, and obviously we know it's the same for Halo. In this instance, they've moved away from creating on the Slipspace engine, and now they're on Unreal.
I think there's a difference in between
There is.
Halo and The Witcher, because the Halo team already got a good part of the team got laid off. They have to hire new people, and the new people are
absolutely
trained in
I think the
Unreal.
difference, but at the same time, both the issues you need for both of them to resolve almost immediately is, when I pick up The Witcher on Unreal, I want it to feel like The Witcher.
Yeah.
Not that it was different I wanted to feel like I'm playing The Witcher that was created on Red Engine, but looks like it was built in Unreal. But I needed to feel like it was played in the Red Engine because that's how The Witcher played. That's how it felt. It felt good. It felt brutal. You needed to play like that, much like when Halo goes on to slip onto Unreal from Split Space. When you pick up the controller and you play Halo on Unreal, you need Halo to feel like Halo, and that's kind of my point from both of them. And I think that's both of them have to get that aspect of it right as well. Does this still feel like Witcher, and does this still feel like Halo? So there's a couple of things that they need to do on their end, but I think ultimately it's more the world crafting that's going to take the longest on Witcher 4.
I agree with almost everything you've said. I have two different train of thoughts about the launch date. The first being, it's already been 5 years since we had Cyberpunk. And I know about the expansion, and I know about the bug fixing things, and so on. Nonetheless, it's been 5 years. There were 5 years in between The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk. And they did two massive expansions for The Witcher 3. And they also did a lot of bug fixing and next-gen console versions and this and that, a Switch port and everything for The Witcher 3. And it's still, and now they have multiple teams now. I know that. Yeah. But they regularly post how many people are working on which project, and it was just released 2 weeks ago that the very vast majority of the team is now working, of course, on The Witcher 4. More than 400 people. I think it was 420 people or something. Above 400 people working on The Witcher 4 now. And the game is in full production for a year already. Yeah, the pre-production phase, where you roll out the story plan, where you figure out the gameplay mechanics, and so on. It's already done. The game is in full production. They are building out the world. They're recording the audio. This is what they are doing right now with full force. More than 400 people working on that. So, considering all of that, I don't think it's like 3-4 years away. 26 might be too early, I agree, but I think 27 could be a very realistic thing. Because, for two reasons. In 28, latest, we start talking about next gen.
I think Cyberpunk 2 is going to be on next gen, and we know that they've just started full production on Cyberpunk 2.
Exactly. They started full production on Cyberpunk. No, that's not in full production yet. That's still in pre-development.
Well, pre-production. Yes, sorry. They've started pre-production.
Yeah,
Cyberpunk 2.
Cyberpunk 2 with a small team. I think it was around 40 or 50 people, which they've said. So 28 is PlayStation 6. We talk about 27 for next-gen Xbox. I feel like they kind of want to avoid what they did with Cyberpunk, where they launched it basically as a launch title for the current gen consoles, and that's the hardware that was the target hardware, and then they brought it still to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and had a buggy mess because those machines were simply not able to handle the game. They kind of want to avoid that. But they also heavily emphasize, hey, this is PlayStation 5. So they still, I think it's a late this gen game. It's not like Cyberpunk was a hard cross-gen game or launch window game of next gen. I think this is a full-fledged this gen game. And that's why it's kind of needs to come out in 27. On the other hand, I see the point. they will make absolutely sure that this is not going to launch in the state like Cyberpunk did, bugs and so on. So if the game's not ready, it's not gonna come out. The game this time they will definitely put a lot more focus on quality assurance than last time. But 27 would make like a 7-year development cycle, and I think that's not unrealistic for a CD Projekt Red game. And so yeah, my bet would be this is a 27 game.
Yeah, 27 or 28. 27 or 28.
Maybe it's just me not wanting to wait another 3 years till 28, but I doubt it's gonna be 28.
I know. As much as I don't either, my thing is I'd rather these days wait and the game come out in its best state than hoping it comes out sooner just because I want to play it.
Yeah.
And I've got so much to play now as well, so that's
yeah, that's
and not enough time.
It doesn't matter which year you release it in. There's always stuff to play. So, Dutch, let us move away from The Witcher 4, and let's talk about the big showcase this Sunday. The Xbox Showcase. It's kind of different this year, right? They don't have the on-site event. I know that the awesome community organized their community fan fest, but there's nothing official going on from Xbox with the theater showing and fan fest around it and everything. There's also not a second Xbox showcase. You know, usually 2 days after the big Xbox showcase, they have the follow-up thing with developer interviews. That's also not announced for this year, and I doubt that they will announce that short term. If that would be a thing, they would have announced it by now. So it's a kind of a different setting. Nonetheless, the excitement, I don't know about you, but on my end is high because especially the last 2 years, the last 3 years, Xbox absolutely nailed their showcases. Last year was phenomenal.
Yeah.
PSE Day and all the good stuff in there, right? State of Decay 3 was revealed last year, got me super excited, and so on. It was an perfect dark. It was an absolute blast. The year before that, also absolutely phenomenal with a good look at Fable and everything, and Clockwork and all that good stuff. So my expectations are obviously high for this year. And I don't know about you, your excitement level, if it's similar, but that's definitely the reason why we need to talk about this now. What do we expect to see? How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, again, they've got an abundance of games that we need updates on. So I expect no less than a boatload of games that we haven't seen for a while. Some release dates of games that we know of. Maybe it's an official release date for Fable. Official release date. We know it's coming out in an area next spring, March or something, is it? Or I don't know, but we don't have a date.
If Fable is there, I would say we will get a date.
Yeah.
But we
also have
Fable could not be there because they will put that in the developer direct in January.
Possibly.
You know that.
Possibly.
That's a safe bet.
But we also have Clockwork. We also have Contraband. We also have State of Decay 3. We also have.
Pace yourself. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So Fable, you think it's gonna be there?
Possibly. And maybe you say yes, they could talk about it in January, and that's probably very likely because that's going to be one of the opening games of the year for them. But they could show it. They could show more of a lengthy gameplay segment on there to showcase maybe more of the combat or something.
they kind of need to do that now.
Yeah.
If they show Fable again, they cannot have an in-engine
Whimsical thing again.
whimsical thing again. Yeah. So Fable, you say yes. I'm putting down notes here, bro. We are going to talk about this Sunday after the show. Who got it right? So you say yes. I say no. I don't think that Fable is going to be at the show this year.
Okay. Clockwork Revolution.
Yes.
And release date.
And release window.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
it has to be. It was
how
so
long has
far
it-
along last
How
time.
long has it been since Wasteland 3?
Oh, that's like the
5
beginning of the
years?
gen.
Yeah. It was round about plus minus 5 years.
Yeah.
now. They've shown Clockwork 2 years ago. It wasn't at the showcase last year, right? So I think it's definitely time to show that again. And it already looked very far along in development when they've shown it 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm with you, man. It's time to see more Clockwork.
Yep. 100%.
All right. You mentioned Contraband. How are we
Yes.
feeling about Contraband?
I don't have a feeling towards it, but they've only shown a title screen, so I think they need to show it now.
I say no. I don't think that game we will ever see that game again. It's just one of those games that died off silent. There's not going to be an announcement. No, we cancelled it.
No, I think it's not even Xbox that would have announced it. I think Avalanche would have.
Yeah, I don't think either of them will ever mention that game again. We will just not hear anything about it.
I don't know.
So you're saying we see Contraband?
I think there's a very good possibility you'll see Contraband.
I mean, it would make sense if the game is still a thing.
Yeah.
It would make sense to show it this year
Yeah.
and release it
Yeah.
before, with a good distance towards GTA.
Yes.
Because after GTA 6, and especially with GTA 6 Online coming, there is no room for another heist-based game.
Yeah, not next
If
year
it-
anyway.
Yeah, not. That's why they need to release it with a good distance. I mean, like 3 months distance at least before. And GTA 6 is what, May next year? That means February latest.
Yeah.
Maybe even this year. I mean, compared to Xbox's first half of the year 2025, where they've released at least one banger a month, yeah, from the Ninja Gaiden 2 surprise to Avowed to South of Midnight to
And we've got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out the end of this year as well.
Oblivion, yeah. But what I was meant to say is the second half feels relatively light compared to the first half. Because for the second half, we know about Call of Duty, even though it's not been officially announced yet, but it'll be there at the showcase, no doubt. And Outer Worlds 2. Those are the two. And then you got Ninja Gaiden. Well, not an Xbox game. I know it's coming Game Pass day one. But yeah, that's about it. And that would be plenty of games and enough for a second half. But if you just compare the density of game releases in the first half, the second half feels relatively light, which is crazy to say with 3 games coming, right? 3 big games coming. So I could see them squeeze in a game like a Contraband into that second half. But I don't think this game exists anymore. It's been too long, man. It was 21 when they've shown that. When they've shown that CGI teaser logo trailer, they said, hey, we already have been working for more than 3 years with Avalanche on that game. And then you see another 4 years later, you don't see that game. You haven't heard anything after 7 years of development. I think there's just something to this, and we are not going to see that.
Yeah.
But you say yes. I put you down as a yes.
Yeah.
I say no. All right. All right. What else do
Blade gameplay.
Blade. Blade is a good one. I agree. I think it's time to see Blade. Maybe with another cinematic trailer that runs in engine.
I don't think that'll cut it. I don't think that'll cut it. I think they have to show. If they show it, they have to show gameplay.
Since the first initial reveal at the Game Awards 23,
yeah,
was a real CGI trailer. They could get away with.
The problem with Xbox, you know as well as I do, Xbox cannot get away with showing anything that's CGI. Even if it's an engine, all they get is first look at Marvel's Blade, running an engine, not gameplay,
and then away with that with other Fable.
Yeah, but they still had the. You know what happened the first time they showed Fable off. And they said this is gameplay, and everybody was like, "That's not gameplay," and the whole rigmarole on.
I know what you mean. and to be fair, the reason why these Xbox showcases over the last couple of years have been so good is that usually they show off the games with gameplay. Yeah, there has been plenty of gameplay at these.
Exactly, like Perfect Dark, for instance.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you convinced me. It's gonna be gameplay. So I put us both down on a yes here.
Yes.
Where do we stand on?
He's really thinking about this question. Oh dear. Oh dear, it's done it again. Oh, Boxy. He's got some bad internet tonight. Alright, well, Boxy's internet is going to be going up and down for a moment. I'm going to be right back 2 seconds. Wait until his internet comes back. Right, I'm back. Let's see if your box is still not back. Oh yes, there we go. Where was I? Hello, and you're back again.
Damn it! What is it today with the damn internet? I don't know.
What game were we talking about?
I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
We haven't picked a new one yet.
We were talking about Blade, then we were talking about what else?
Blade was the last one.
Okay.
So what else? Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark. Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah, and they mentioned at the end of the last time they showed Perfect Dark that they would have more information as it progressed. So I expect them to show a little bit more of Perfect Dark off again.
Yeah, I agree. And I would also say that they will announce it for 26. Not with a proper date, but they will give the release window for 26.
Yep. Yeah, like a window. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And And we will see more gameplay, different kind of gameplay. Last time, they've heavily focused on the parkour and the gunplay.
I
think we will see
liked
more.
the story hint at the end of it though, which made it look a little bit more. Should we say like sci-fi thriller? Like The Expanse, going into this like weird area and something happening type thing at the end of the Perfect Dark trailer. I kind of hope they go more down the story kind of gameplay stuff to kind of get a better understanding of what's going on in the story in this Perfect Dark.
Okay.
Aside from that,
story and stealth.
Yeah.
I will see. What about Gears? Gears E-Day.
No. No,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
Gears,
with yes.
I'm gonna go with no. I think Gears they're gonna leave till next year.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Actually, I was at this point where I were saying would have put it even as my opening game. They open up with Gears, but I've changed my mind on that. But we'll get to opening and closing later. But I think it's gonna be there.